Hey, welcome to the behind the scenes of Birthday Boy. I am Barış. I run this little outfit called Playstige Interactive. It's an indie studio, and I've been making games for the last 25 years, which honestly feels like illegal at this point. Like 40 centime games shipped. Some of them are like, very small games, very ultra low budget games. PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo, you name it. Probably I broke something on it. Like I'm still here doing all it by myself, like some kind of a stubborn fool who never learned to quit. Anyway, here's our latest game, Birthday Boy. That's our latest game. It's out there right now on PlayStation 5 and Xbox. It will be out for Nintendo very soon, and it's coming to Steam as well. And I figured, hey, why not just sit down and tell you how all this thing got made, and like the good parts, dumb parts, all of it, like all the mistakes we made, and like we made like plenty of them. And then that's the whole thing about making an indie horror game. And now I just want to do some kind of a development commentary on each chapter. Now we're gonna start with like chapter 1 and chapter 2. And now you might, some of you who played the game might say that the first 2 chapters like nothing really happened. Yeah, I know, because I did it on purpose, and I will do it again. See, everybody wants the scary stuff right away. Begin with the monster, give me the chase, give me the loud noise, so that I can make my throw away my controller, so that it looks cool when you make this kind of content. I'm talking about these YouTubers. Anyway, but Birthday Boy is not that kind of game. It has a slow start. It has a slow pace because it's more like a psychological horror kind of game. This is a game where you're playing a guy named Brian, and he's at the moment in his current age he's like 40 something, and he's like very successful, like New York hotshot finance guy, like the kind of guy most of the girls would like to marry. Anyway, so he's like, but he has really got some messed up childhood stuff going on. Like, I just want you to meet it and into the horror, like without making a sit with this man for a minute, and you're not going to care when things go sideways, because we want you to make sure you really relate with this guy. That's why we have this kind of slow start, and then because when you reach chapter 3 and everything hits, I need you to feel like it's in your chest, not just in your thumbs. So yeah, slow start. Sue me, bite me, punch me. It won't hurt, because we learn to grow with very thick skin as indie developers, so we can take any kind of criticism. Yes, the game starts very slow, but trust me, everything goes crazy after chapter 3, and especially in chapter 4 and chapter 5 we have some kind of crazy surprises. And now you're walking around the house and you're just having a conversation with your psychiatrist. Your doctor is trying to convince you to face your memories, because you believe that you resolved something, but the whole house, as you can see, is full of birthday surprises. So it's like Brian is trying to get a revenge from his past. So the psychiatrist think that that's really unhealthy habit, unhealthy issue. He didn't really resolve his pain, but the Brian is kind of like the wise ass. He doesn't want to go back to face the childhood memories. So the psychiatrist is trying to convince him. But the problem is, like, it's kind of a very this scene I wrote, like, is kind of long. That's why I just wanted to make this simple blueprints with the TV remote, so that some kind of impatient gamers will be enjoying, like, trying to flip the channels. And before you can all scream like this is AI, no, it's not AI. This footage that you see on the television is just to give you an idea about some kind of Manhattan finance guy will be just having this kind of very expensive nice TV sets, like he has like 3 all around the house, and still you can see the feeds and loops of stock exchange loops, like he's still trading maybe at this late hour. Anyway, he's a rich guy. Anyway, we have this kind of simple blueprint where you flip the channels and you see some kind of late night television. It just kind of sounds and looks creepy with this kind of in a nice and high house environment. Everything looks well lit and everything looks clean, and you have this kind of strange cartoons, and somebody, all these shop channels, like shopping channels. I thought it would create a nice contrast. That's why we made it, and it's a very simple blueprint that you just pick it up and flip it. Those are just for the impatient gamers who just didn't want to just sit through and listen to the whole conversation. Sorry, this is a psychological horror game. This is the best I could come up with. If you have some kind of any other ideas about a psychological horror where you constantly do the action, just I made some kind of games with the FPS style, like you shoot monsters and zombies. that's okay. But Birthday Boy is not that kind of game. It's a slow-paced game, so this little gimmick of playing with the remote control is just for those impatient gamers who just wants to skip the conversation, because in this kind of games, if you put a skip button, everyone will just skip it. But this is the kind of game we want you to really feel through the conversation of the characters. One of the hardest things in game design that nobody talks about enough is like how to making your care about a character without like 40 minutes of cinematic intros, which most gamers don't like, and without so many big fancy mocap suits and everything, and with all these animation budgets which we don't have. Now you don't have that luxury as an indie, so you have like minutes, not hours, to make someone to feel something real. So how you do it? You put them in a room with someone they trust. So that was the whole idea about the introduction scene of Birthday Boy. This is where Brian's psychiatrist comes in. This scene, like here, we have this long conversation going on, doing all the heavy lifting. She's not just asking him questions. She's just trying to convince him to go back to his childhood, back to that house that he grew up as a child, back to the hold this birthday party, back to the place where everything went wrong. And by the time he agrees, you as the player have agreed to, and you're not walking into this haunted house, you're just walking into that memory. That's a different completely, that's just a different kind of fear. That's a completely different kind of fear. Now, here's something I really liked about this part. Everyone right now is worried about an AI in games, AI voices, AI art, AI and everything. I'm going to talk about all of this stuff later on, not in this video, because trust me, I've got plenty of things to say about that. And some of them you're not going to like it. Anyway, like I'd say, bite me, sue me, punch me, we grow thick skin as in the developers. Anyway, I hired this guy, Jeffrey Hopkins. He's like an amazing, fantastic voiceover artist, and he voiced our main character, and I asked him, like, do you have somebody who can, be comfortable with, who would play your shrink, your psychiatrist? And he just told me that my wife is also a voice actor, and I said, why not? So his real life wife is voicing the psychiatrist. A married couple from Florida playing as a patient and doctor, so I just felt really lucky about working with them, and I think there's some kind of an interesting chemistry going on between them, so I'm really happy with the way how this voiceover turned out. It's not AI, it's just fully voiced with two amazing actors. Like, there's this chemistry out there that there's no algorithm can generate. When she pushes him, he resists, and then back and forth, he has weight to it, you can hear it. That's the rule, two real people in real booth doing real work, which is kind of like I'm really happy about. And we've also licensed some actual footage for this game, real cameras, real clowns, real birthday party setup. It was shot by someone else, and we licensed it, and we also added our own footage on top of it. So it wasn't just completely pure AI generation. We used some kind of stock footage for it, and I wanted to get funding to do our own shots, like all of them, but it's kind of impossible. I'm kind of guy who doesn't want to wait for to chase all this investment. So I said, like, hey, let's mix with our stuff with the stuff that we can license. So I think I'm happy with the combination, because you have to have some kind of going on with this when the psychiatrist is talking to Brian. So we have some kind of flashback effects. We'll talk about this investment side of things later on in later episodes, because that's a whole different conversation. But I'm kind of indie developer who just wants to make the game, not just wait for too long. So here we are. This is chapter 2. You're alone in the woods now. This is the part that I need you to understand. There are no demons here. There are no ghosts chasing you. It's still slow pace. We're still trying to get to the behind the mentality of the character and the horrible things that happened in his past. The thing that's hunting you in this wood is just a memory, not just a clown, not yet, not this monster, not the cool animatronic plush dolls that you're going to face later on, which probably you've seen it in the trailer. But now,
I'm here at the
this is the kind of birthday that you wanted to forget. So I don't know how much more I can stress about this psychological aspect of it, because that's my favorite genre, and that's the game I wanted to make. So this is the terror of the childhood. This is scarier than any monster, I believe, because it's the kind of monster you cannot fight with. and you can only walk deeper and you face it, and this is only can be done with this dialogue between the psychiatrist and the patient. And now he's not even a patient. He doesn't even want to admit that he's a patient. He just believes that he's some kind of a successful finance guy who has figured it out all. He made money. He has some kind of living, as you've seen in chapter 1, he's living in this luxury house in Manhattan. But now the psychiatrist has convinced him to go back to this childhood place, because he still has some kind of unresolved pain. He still has some kind of unresolved childhood trauma. You know, I've been making lots of games for the last 25 years, and I made mostly like psychological horror games. I can tell you the scariest thing you can put in a game is not a creature jumping out of the darkness. It's the kind of a door that you don't want to remember. It's the kind of a door you don't want to open. And now this is exactly what we did with the birthday boy. Like, jump scares are easy, you know, any developer can throw up some kind of lot size and face at you and call it horror. I did the same thing, like so many of the other games. It's just kind of fun to see all the reactions of the YouTubers and everyone. That it's just kind of, I'm not saying that we shouldn't be using it. It's kind of fun to have that kind of jump scares, but you know, that's the reflex, your body flinches, your heart rate goes up like for like 3 seconds, and you just feel it from the eyes of the and face of the YouTuber. That's kind of fun. But with this kind of psychological health, it stays with you after you close the game, which I hope, because of this whole background and story. That's why you have to be kind of patient and try to get into the character. That's why it's kind of, you know, with this kind of slow start we have, because it's like, look, it follows you to the bed. It sits back in your head. Anyway, this is what Birthday Boy is built on. The game doesn't tell you what to be afraid of. It gives you a place, a sound, a smell that you can even recognize, because then it lets your imagination do the rest. Because then it lets your imagination do the rest, because nothing I can design in Unreal Engine will be as scary as something about your own imagination, you know. And this is this chapter 2 where the philosophy hits the hardest. You're not fighting anything, you're just remembering, and slowly, and you still have some kind of, you know, connection with your psychiatrist, but at the same time you kind of cut away from the real life, because you park your car over there, and then, you know, you start to walk around in this, you know, dilapidated house of where your, you know, childhood spent. You're just remembering things, and that's kind of, I believe, the worst kind of horror is there. You know, in the next episode we'll break down how we built the house environment, and why, while the visual design of, you know, Birthday was deliberately avoids this clean look, which is kind of inevitable for a game, or this kind of horror game. And also I want to go behind the scenes of, you know, how we made how you confront your father, the clown, and how we made this simple tricks with the AI to, you know, to balance the tension between the psychological aspect of it and like the real horror of, you know, with the jump scares.